lies.
Welcome back to BodyBags. This is week number 418. This is a theme week, and the theme is alternate cuts of movies. I'll be your host, Jason from Horrific Nightmares, and this week I picked one of my all-time favorites, Terror in the Aisles. Now, the cut I'm going to be talking about on this film is the alternate cut, which is the television cut, which is actually only available through the Scream Factory Blu-ray, which is why it's important to get the Scream Factory Blu-ray. Okay, Terror in the Aisles is a 1984 film, which runs 84 minutes if you're watching the theatrical cut. If you're watching the television cut, it runs 96 minutes. And I'm going to be talking about the 96-minute television cut. Now, this is directed by Andrew J. Cullen, and I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that correctly. Terror in the Aisles is one of my favorite movies of all time. This is a compilation film of excerpts from horror movies from all times, pretty much. So, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be talking about the difference between the theatrical cut, which that's all that's on here, and the alternate television cut, which is also providing on this Scream Factory Blu-ray. The only cut of the film that I didn't pull is the theatrical cut, and the only one that was available for years and years, that was on the Universal Halloween 2 Blu-ray, which is how I've had it for a long time. It's an HD cut of the film, and it's a really good way to own the film, because that's what I had for years, and it's exactly the 84-minute theatrical cut. Okay, but now, from now on, we're going to be talking about the alternate cut. A synopsis of this film: you're in a movie theater, and this movie is hosted by Nancy Allen and Donald Pleasence. Nancy Allen, of course, is famous for Blowout and Dressed to Kill, among many other movies. Donald Pleasence, of course, we know him from being Dr. Loomis and countless others. He's been in everything from James Bond films to really cheap B-movie horror films. And, of course, he passed away, which is very, very unfortunate. Now, the theatrical cut of this film plays 62 clips of films from 62 different movies. Not 62 clips, 62 different films. Now, the difference between the television cut and the theatrical cut is, in order to put this on television, they had to eliminate a lot of the nudity, a lot of the gore, and a lot of the profanity. So, they had to kind of go back to the drawing board and add a lot more clips of films in, which brings the total of films that they're talking about to 81 instead of 62. Okay, it might be a little hard to explain. They also, like I said, had to cut a ton of nudity and a lot of gore in order to get it played on television. So some of the segments had to have been shortened. So they had to put all new segments in the film. It has a completely different opening, completely different lines, and it actually does another musical number in the television cut, which I thought was really cool. I love this movie. This is how I became familiar with a lot of movies that I may not have been familiar with otherwise. And it encouraged me to seek out a lot of the films. Now, the films that they do cover, like I said, is 62 different films, and they run the gambit from Play Misty to Me, to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, to the John Carpenter's The Thing, To Catch a Thief, Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. So it pretty much covers all eras of horror. Now, the movies that are added are 19. And I'm going to read off the movies that they added, which probably should have been in the original cut too. They should have just made it a little bit longer. But yeah, the movies that were added for the television cut are The Ghost Breakers, The Creature from the Black Lagoon, This Island Earth, Tarantula, The Incredible Shrinking Man, The Deadly Mantis, King Kong vs. Godzilla. I mean, who doesn't love King Kong vs. Godzilla? Frenzy, Grizzly, The Car, Piranha, The Legacy, which is one of my favorites, Prophecy, Dracula, which is the Frank Langella Dracula, Friday the 13th. Can you believe that they left that out? Even though Part 2 and Part 3 are actually in the theatrical cut. Doesn't make sense to me, but okay. The Funhouse, The Postman Always Rings Twice, the one with Jack Nicholson, Firestarter, and Fahrenheit 451. Now, as I said before, this was a wealth of knowledge to a young person who was in love with horror. And when I was younger, I pretty much stuck to slasher movies because that's what I enjoyed. I didn't really particularly care for horror comedies. Zombie movies really weren't my thing at the time. It was pretty much slasher movies. But with seeing Terror in the Aisles, the theatrical cut, of course, I just watched the alternate cut for this video. But seeing the theatrical cut, it introduced me to so many more movies that I am actually grateful to this film for encouraging me to search them out. A lot of movies I hadn't seen at that time. Of course, I had seen Halloween, I had seen the Friday the 13th, and all those kind of movies. But movies like Dawn of the Dead, I hadn't yet begun to research and play Misty to me, and movies like that. This is a wealth of knowledge. It's unfortunate that we lost Donald Pleasence, but an interesting thing about this film, and I'll kind of wrap it up here, is that Nancy Allen was so psyched to work with Donald Pleasence for the making of this film. Unfortunately, there's a little interview in the Scream Factory Blu-ray that says she didn't actually get to work with him because their parts were filmed separately, so she never really even saw him, except for in the movie. So I thought that was pretty cool. Bad for her. She did end up getting to work with him, I do believe, later on down the line. But, she was really psyched to do this because of him, and turns out she never really got to work with him. So, interesting. But yeah, check out this, the Scream Factory Blu-ray. It is great. Adding these alternate cuts of films, I just find them to be fantastic. And if you like what you see in here, hit that like button and subscribe. And until next time, peace.